Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy, but a little inside joke. What a way to start, right? Um, but as y'all know, you haven't seen us in a while,
Yeah,
but we are
like
here.
10, 11 days. Yeah.
We've been out of town, Nashville trip, and this is kind of our weekly buzz where we give
It
updates
is.
and talk
We're
about people
trying
that are
to
coming on the
get this
show.
started here.
And we're going to try to do these every Monday, but we kind of backed off from it because we knew we was taking the long trip.
Yes, exactly.
So now that the trip's over, we're back and we can start everything over again and get all this going. But the purpose
Mhm.
of today's show is to kind of talk about our Nashville experience
Oh,
and our
yes.
Nashville trip. It was our first time ever being in Nashville.
Yes, neither one of us had ever been there before.
And we spent 5 nights there, 6 days. It was really awesome.
And Christopher was so excited.
And what's
He'd been
funny
wanting
is
to go too
many people know that, Sandy and I always wanted to move to Jacksonville. That's always been our favorite city,
for
Jacksonville,
years,
Florida, for
years and
years.
years.
And we just felt pulled to Nashville. Well, even though we felt like we were supposed to move to Nashville eventually, we kind of still had a little hesitant because we haven't been there yet.
Yeah, we didn't know what it was like. How could we know when we hadn't been there yet?
Well, this trip solidified our Nashville experience, and there's no question about it. We are moving to Nashville.
Oh, yes,
We're hoping
absolutely 100% sure.
the
We are.
plan that we're going by is we're going to be going back to Nashville end of June to for 7 days. They'll
Mm-hmm.
be end of June into July and July 4th and all
Yes.
that. Then we're going back in October. Then we're going back in December. And then we're going to try starting next year to kind of go a week out of every month until we actually transition into Nashville.
Yes.
But let's kick it off. Nashville. How was the trip?
It was amazing.
And here's the crazy part. Our first night in Nashville, we're sitting.
We have a crazy story already. The
First night, we're walking.
ever going to Broadway.
We're walking on Broadway.
As far as
And-
we park, we find a little parking spot to park at.
And we were in front of one of the honky tonk. It's called Honky Tonk
Well,
Central.
we were coming, the sidewalk. We were coming down,
and
from
we
the
were
parking.
waiting for the light to change so we can cross. And someone from the Honky Tonk Central come out and said the band wanted little Chris to have this drumstick.
Mm-hmm.
So little Chris was really excited. So
Yes, he was super excited about
So he
that.
took
He
the-
loves music, especially live music like that. He was so excited.
So he took the drumstick. We didn't think nothing of it. And so he's so excited. We're walking more on Broadway.
Mhm.
And then we come up to Dierks Bentley Road, which is Dierks Bentley's place on
Yeah,
Broadway.
that was kind of the second one we stopped at to watch the live music.
And the cool thing about Broadway is they have these big windows where everybody plays. So people on the outside can listen in too, which is really cool.
Yeah,
So we
loved
were
that.
out on the
Really
the
cool.
sidewalk listening in, and whoever was in the band looked and seen the pool stick in little Chris's hands.
Yeah, the drumstick. Yeah.
And they come down and says, "Would you like to play with us for one song?" Little Chris now never played drums, and he's got a drumstick.
Yeah, he's holding up his little drumstick.
and he's like, "Yeah." So they pull him on stage in front of, I guess, about 100 people. However many
Yeah,
it was
more
packed.
200 people.
Nashville's
packed, yeah.
fully open, in case you don't know.
Oh, it definitely was.
But he pulls him up there, and he gets to play as a 9-year-old on Dierks Bentley's bar's stage.
And they were playing Bryan Adams' song "Summer of '69," one of my favorite songs. So I thought that was really cool too.
And he plays for a whole song. We got video and we got pictures of that.
Oh yes, and the crowd was like screaming, and little Chris was so excited.
Needless to say, that sold us right there. We knew immediately Nashville was where we were supposed to be. Little Chris, that's all he talks about now. It's Nashville, Nashville, Nashville. When we going back, when we going back.
Yes, he loves it so much.
But it was such a great experience. We also went to the Opry Mills Mall and
loved that. The aquarium restaurant. We did that on our last day there.
If you have never been to the aquarium restaurant in Nashville, you need to check it out. They have an aquarium in the middle of the restaurant.
And it actually kept Caitlin calm for sitting and eating at the restaurant. And she's 2, so it's hard to keep her calm at restaurants sometimes.
And you know what's crazy about all this? We just got an email earlier inviting us to an event, a special event tomorrow.
A private event.
It's not open to the public.
Not open to the public.
And we were this close to going back up there for a couple of days. It was like, but little Chris has a dentist appointment tomorrow. If it weren't for that, we'd probably shoot back up there for that event.
Absolutely. We almost decided to.
But I mean,
not quite the right time.
We just know we're supposed to be there. Then on the way up there, we're supposed to meet Buddy Jewell, one of our friends, who's also a singer. Most of y'all probably know who he is. But he had to be meeting at a certain time. Well, needless to say, road construction messed that up for us. So hopefully we can meet with him next time.
We had to take a crazy detour around the road construction, and we ended up on 1-lane roads around mountains. Huh?
That was going to your mom's.
No, that was on the way to Nashville. Oh, that's right. Yeah. That was on the way to my mom's, but still, road construction. Yeah.
And it's been funny though. We never knew what we would think of Nashville. We always believed that we would love it, and it's went beyond our expectations.
It has, yes.
And then to tell you a little bit about who we got coming up tomorrow. We have Taylor Dane.
Oh, so excited about that one. She's amazing.
And if anybody don't know who she is, she's back from the late 80s and early 90s. And
she had a lot of hits. And she had Tell It to My Heart, Love Will Lead You Back, a lot of great songs from that era.
And so we're excited to have her on. And then we got Janelle Arthur coming on Wednesday. Which is really awesome. We love her. I've been Facebook friends with her for years. So I'm excited to finally get her
we watched her on Idol and always been fans.
And then next week we have the Tracy Lawrence coming on the show.
Yes.
And so little Chris is really excited about that. He loves
very
Tracy
excited. Lawrence. He's a fan. So definitely excited about
So we've been doing a lot of this, a lot of soul searching on this trip. We had a funny thing happen on the trip too.
Another crazy
story that who knows what's going to happen with it.
Who knows?
But Sandy looked up for some of the artists' addresses.
And you don't know if you could drive by and just glance.
And you don't know if they're real or not.
Yeah.
The addresses. So we looked up one for it was Big Kenny from
the first one on the list. It had like a list of 10, and the first one was Big Kenny.
So we decided we're going to go check out the address. Yeah. And we cruise into the neighborhood.
We plugged it in, GPS.
And it's an upper scale neighborhood, that's for sure.
It is.
So we're driving through the neighborhood. We find the house. We stopped in front of the house and looking at the house.
Yeah, it had a big gate there.
And this car pulls up and rolls the window. Now, I'm thinking that this person's going to ask, is that Big Kenny's house? Because we don't know.
And we're like, we think it is.
And they roll down the window, and the woman says, "May I help you?" Because she was trying to get into the house that we were blocking.
Kind of blocking.
So we're stalkers now, kind of.
Big Kenny stalkers. And it looked like anyway.
And I'm sitting there like not knowing what to say here.
Yeah.
So I just tell the truth.
You were kind of deer in the headlights.
I'm like trying to think really quick, well, why are we here? Even though and I was like, well, we're Chris and Sandy with the Chris and Sandy show. We just want to see if this was Big Kenny's house. And she did say yes, it was.
She did.
And then she says, and then she ended up asking us, I said he's not there and all that. And I guess he's on trip and all that right now. He's not in town.
Yeah, maybe out on the road or something.
She asked us anything we want to say. So I made sure to say we're Chris and Sandy from the Chris and Sandy show. Just tell them we said hi. Yeah.
And she said she was.
And she said we don't whether she did. We don't know. We hope she did. Mm-hmm. But you know what? That was one of another experience. Little Chris got to experience the little funny thing.
Yeah, it gave us a crazy story to tell him.
If we'd ever get him on the show, we'll always have that story.
Yes.
So what's some of your highlights?
Oh, just everything. I loved that you could hear music everywhere. Walking on Broadway. Yeah, just everywhere you walked. Any time of day, pretty much, you could hear live music. That was my favorite part.
You know what surprised me the most?
What's that?
It's that Broadway. Now, granted, Broadway's a long road.
But
the main part of Broadway was like 3 blocks.
Yes. And we pictured this big,
like mile long Broadway.
Blocks of
so I pictured a long Broadway where music all the way down. It had a lot of music, but I pictured it longer than what it was, because when we got there, it was like, okay, that's not as big as I thought it was.
Like, wow, it was like 3 blocks.
But it was cool.
It was jam packed in those 3 blocks.
Yeah. And then that walking bridge. What about that?
Oh, I love the pedestrian bridge there.
They had a bridge that goes across the river.
Views from there.
And here's a tip for you. If you don't mind walking.
Yes.
And you don't want to pay 15, 20, 30 bucks for parking. As long as there's not anything being used at the stadium, you can park over there for free and walk across the bridge to Broadway. Big tip. Yeah. Pro tip there.
Yes, we did that every time after the first day.
Yeah, the first day we paid for parking, but then I remembered somebody on Facebook talking about, for people who don't mind walking, you could actually park on the other side for free.
Walking.
And you know what? They were right. It's still free over there. Now, they had signs saying that unless there's an event going at the stadium. If there's an event going there, you can't park there.
And really cool, they had an elevator from one side that you can get to the top of the bridge.
Yeah, that was really cool, because it's a big bridge. So it's like
we were like, how are we gonna get up there?
And then there was an elevator go right up. So really cool. And Caitlin.
Oh yes, here's another highlight.
Another funny Nashville story. It's, once she learned about, especially the Batman building, we kept telling her, that's the Batman building, that's the Batman building.
Oh, yes.
Everybody knows who that, the AT&T building, for those of you that don't know, you can look it up. But that's the Batman building. And so every time we go by, she would point at it and grunt.
And squeal.
And if it looked like every time we were driving past the downtown Nashville area, she would get mad if she didn't think we were going to pull in there.
Yes.
Which every time we were going to, she just didn't know that. But she loves Nashville.
She loves it. Yes,
it's just
so excited.
Been crazy. Our whole Nashville experience.
How about the Radnor Lake State Park? That was so peaceful.
If you're in Nashville and you want a peaceful area to go to,
please go check that out.
That
great walking area,
hiking
there.
Areas,
yeah,
if you like to hike or all that,
track.
Right along that lake, and it's peaceful, quiet, no cars, away from the hustle and bustle.
Beautiful lake there.
And it's really amazing. But this whole trip really solidified our show and solidified why we're supposed to be in Nashville. And
it did.
And it's like, we just know we're supposed to be there. And our plan is to be moved by next summer, spring, summer, somewhere in that area.
And now Christopher says he wants to be a drummer. He wants to take drum lessons.
So thanks to the Dierks Bentley Road, he wants to be a drummer.
Yes.
I guess our ears are going to hear for it. I mean, once we promised him, once we moved to Nashville, we'll get him some drums
and some lessons,
some lessons and all that. But yeah, now he wants to be a drummer because he got.
So we'll see what becomes of it. If he's a famous drummer someday.
And speaking of little Chris,
yes,
we'll let him share a little bit. Sandy gonna go get him.
I will get him to tell you in his own words
what he thought of Nashville. But it's been one of the best experiences in our marriage. We've been married 18 years, and we've got some great experiences from travel. But this one, I guess it was special. It was our first time in Nashville. We already knew we're moving there, but this one was special. And we made so many memories, because I'll be honest with you, you can give me all the cars you want, all the big houses you want. I want the experiences, and we got a great experience in Nashville. So, how was your experience in Nashville?
I think it was great, especially during Bentley's when I got on the stage part.
See, that was first. We told you all about that. That's his first thing.
You want to tell everybody about how that happened?
Yeah.
Tell it from your point of view.
Okay, so of how that happened, I was holding up my drumstick.
That you got from which place?
From Honky Tonk Central.
Yeah.
Yes, and then when the lady saw me with the drumstick, she pulled me up on stage.
Yes, she did. And the crowd was cheering.
Yes.
And the crazy thing about this was just natural, because it wasn't no connections the Chris and Sandy show had.
No.
It was just one of the moments that we're sitting out there listening to the band, and the band pulls him up.
And everybody was cheering, weren't
yes,
they?
they were.
And he's like, bam, 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 bam.
Summer of '69, right?
Yes, that Brian Adams song.
Yes, that's a good song, isn't it?
Yes.
And what else did you like about it?
What else do you like about Nashville? What's your favorite building there?
The Batman building.
He loves the Batman building.
And what's Caitlin's favorite building?
Batman.
Yes. What did Caitlin do if we tried to not go towards your buildings?
She would cry, probably.
Yes.
Mm.
And what did you think of Big Kenny's house?
I think it was cool.
Was it cool that we got to drive by it?
Yes, it was.
Maybe next time we can be invited to at least somebody, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yes, it would. Bye, thanks.
Good job.
He loves all this stuff. Again, we have no idea where this show is going to go. And we have no idea what the future holds. We're trying to guide it. And we believe in big things for the Chris and Sandy Show. We also run the Metro Buzz, which is positive news for Middle Tennessee. So we're trying to build a base in Nashville to kind of help make our transition.
We even got to go to an event because of the Metro Buzz.
Yeah, we got to go to a crawfish event. And,
yes, our first time ever trying crawfish. It was crazy.
Needless to say that I'm not a fan. Sorry.
I think Christopher was. He did better at cutting them open than we did. He was a little pro there.
But it was
and
so
he loves
cool.
spicy food.
We're in Nashville. One of the PR companies that we're friends with reached out and says, "Hey, I'd love to have y'all come to invite as my guest." And we're like, "Oh, sure." So we're in Nashville first time, and all this just keeps happening. And we're just sitting here like stunned, like we're supposed to be in Nashville. There's no doubt in my mind that we're not supposed to be in Nashville.
Yes, we know for sure now. And
it's like, we've been hoping that when we go visit Nashville, that it would be a place that we could love. We always thought we would, but you know what? Pictures does not do Nashville justice.
Oh, it does not. No, we had no idea until we went in person.
I mean, we were there, and we were living the Nashville experience.
And we only got to do a small portion of what was on my list of things to do. We didn't even get to do a third of what I planned out for us to do.
But you know what? We enjoyed. Here's the cool part. We already had planned for the next Nashville trip, which was going to be July 1st through 6th. And we were sitting here talking earlier, you know what? We need to go longer this next time. So we added 2 more days. So we're coming up June 28th to July 6th. So that we can also spend the 4th of July weekend there.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know they put on great fireworks and all that. But again, it's one of them things where you just know that's where we're supposed to be.
Yes.
We just need some doors to open up a little bit that kind of help us make that transition in. But things are coming along, and we're excited. And we got some really cool people coming on the show this month.
Oh, we do.
We got one big one that we can't say who yet, but you're going to be surprised when this person comes on later this month.
Right.
Sandy's really excited about this.
Oh, I am.
But we're excited about them all, to be honest.
We are.
It doesn't matter if they're big, doesn't matter if they're small.
Doesn't matter. We love artists.
We love their stories. And that's
really
what
the whole show is about. Yeah.
There we go. Yes. Yeah, we always do that.
We always do that.
But it's funny. That's what the show's about, is bringing the stories to life through artists and actors' eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we launched this show to
because the arts are so important. Music, entertainment, movies, TV shows. It brings so much joy and hope to people.
And I'll be honest, before we launched the show, and maybe even a few years ago before we originally did the show back years ago with the New Country Buzz, I'll be honest, I was one of them people that would say, well, the first thing that should be cut in schools is music and the arts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say that no more.
No,
I have learned watching people in that, wow, this is needed. Music in schools needed.
It is needed.
And it's needed, especially there's so many kids that can't afford, because music's expensive.
It is.
And they can't afford it.
They don't have access to the instruments or to lessons
and having it in schools can give them that access, because who knows, they could be the next Britney Spears, the next Blake Shelton, the next Miranda.
Yes.
And yet they can't, we have to make sure that the arts stays in the school. I don't care how, if you got to do fundraisers, the arts needs to stay. They don't need to be cut. I think that cutting that will cut the creativeness out of a lot of kids.
Yes.
So before we wrap up here, any final thoughts?
Oh, wow. Just so much happened there. It's hard to put it all into words. Huh?
And we're going to try to do the weekly buzz
Yeah.
of the Chris and Sandy show each week around on Mondays, where we kind of talk a little bit about some stuff that's happened to us through the week, talk about some entertainment news that's maybe coming.
Right. We maybe add in some of our things we're going to be partnering with to do little news updates and all that as well.
So we've got a lot of special things coming for the Chris and Sandy show for the next few months to a few years. And we're excited, but there's a lot that we can't talk about. But we will eventually update y'all as you know it. And you know what? Please share this video because it helps us in every interview we do. Please share them because you don't realize how much. I mean, you can watch us and that's great, but when you share it, then other people get a chance to watch our interviews and all that and what we're doing.
Jump on and interact, ask a question, say hi to the guest. We always appreciate that.
Because as you know, that when we have a guest on, because we are live, we have a guest on. When people comment on the thing, I can pull them up on the thing if it's interesting. Now, granted, there's some comments I won't pull up because they might be nasty or something.
Right.
I don't
negative.
pull those
try
up.
Not to do
but
that. We're
if
not
it's
about
a legitimate comment, I'll pull it up on the screen, and us and the artist can talk about that. So we don't have a problem with that. So so please, share this video when you can. We're not asking for money support, and all that. We're just asking to share because we want to be eventually the Bobby Bones, the Kelly Clarksons, the Ty Bentleys, and all that.
And we're trying to hustle.
We're hustling as hard as we can. We're trying to balance all this. We're trying to build this crazy show.
We're trying to do this.
It's like so much. And it's like trying to do all this at once. And we could use your help.
Yes.
And that's the biggest help you could do is share, comment, like on all of our interviews and all that. That's the biggest help that we could get because we need to build that audience. If we can build the audience, sponsors will come.
Yes.
We get the sponsors, the show will grow. We get the show growing, then we can bring you some even greater stuff.
Yes.
And bigger artists. And they're coming. I mean, we've been surprised who we've had on, but each week we'll talk about the updates and talk about this stuff. And
a little bit what's going on in our life.
And we'll get better. I mean, hopefully we're not boring you too much, but we'll get better. But we're going to try to keep these right at 30 minutes or under.
Too long.
Because they're just a weekly buzz update about the show, what's going on.
We'll come up with an official name for it eventually.
And it may even bring up some quotes or something from something that and talk like a story idea.
Yeah, maybe some crazy stories, some crazy news stories.
Yeah, if you ever watch the Bobby Bones show and how they bring up a story, they talk about it. That's kind of what we want to do.
We might pull in maybe eventually from time to time a couple other people to
talk about things. Let's be a show. Let's be the Chris and Sandy show, but a whole show, not just about us. Not just us. Not just about artists and all that, but just a show where we talk about life and.
We want to keep it lighthearted and fun.
So, what do y'all think? Give us a like.
Let us know.
Give us some hearts and all that. We appreciate whatever you can do to help us out in this way.
And we so appreciate everyone who's watched any of the episodes or listened to any of them.
Because with y'all's help, we can take this show to the top. And we believe we're going to take it to the top. And you know what? Maybe one day we can be the first ever, because I don't know if anybody that's done this yet, but the first married couple daytime talk show host. What do you think of that? Would that be cool? That if we could pull that, because as far as I know, they don't have that. Like you're The View, your Kelly Clarkson show, and stuff like that. There's none of that.
Yeah,
with just a married couple. So we want to be the first. So with your help, we can be the first, by helping us grow this show, helping us organically, because that's the key is organically. We can put money into ads and all that, and that's great. And one day we will as we bring on sponsors. But right now we can't do that. So we need the grassroots.
All grassroots.
That's it. Yeah, but we need to grassroots this because that's what we are. And we are a grassroots couple.
Yeah.
And you know what? we'll end it here because you know what? We don't want to take up too much of your time.
Right.
We don't want to just keep rambling on
No.
about our crazy life.
Yeah, and he can ramble.
Oh, I can ramble because you better be careful. I'll be done rambling again. but you know, we don't want to take up more of your time. Which again, we appreciate every viewer possible.
We do.
We appreciate all of y'all.
And we want to say thank you.
And you know what? From the bottom of our hearts, y'all are great. Y'all are the real winners here because y'all can help us do what we do. And with that, we look forward to bringing you tomorrow, Taylor Dane, to the Chris and Sandy Show.
So please tune in.
That's going to be a great one. And like I said, just keep up and we'll update you each week. Again, bye.